Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to social science classes from excelup.com. In this lesson, you will learn about the Constitution of India. You will learn about the definition of Constitution. Then you will learn about the history of making of Constitution of India, and you will learn about the philosophy of the Constitution of India, which is basically the meaning of various keywords mentioned in the preamble of our Constitution. Let us start with the definition. The definition says that the aggregate of rules to govern a country or an institution is called Constitution. It is important to remember that such rules are made after reaching a consensus, because otherwise it will be quite difficult or almost impossible to implement those rules. Suppose you are planning to make a club in your school. The club will be the exclusive domain of the musical talents in your cohort. So you will have to make certain rules for the members of the club so that everything goes smoothly. And once you make the rule and you compile those rules, that compilation can be termed as the constitution of your club. Similarly, certain rules need to be made to govern a country, and that is why we need constitution. History of making of Constitution of India. The process started in 1928 when Motilal Nehru and 8 other leaders, they drafted a constitution. So we can say it was our first constitution. Then in 1931, during the Lahore session of the Congress Party, a resolution was passed for the constitution. The nationalist leaders, they had their fair share of differences of opinion, but all of them, they were on a common point as far as certain issues were concerned. For example, all of them wanted India to be a democratic country, and all of them wanted certain fundamental freedoms to be given to the citizens of India, and all of them wanted the universal adult franchise for the people of India. And all these topics, they were mentioned in that resolution. Then in 1937, elections for provincial assemblies were held for those parts of India which were under the British control. And we cannot term those elections as democratic elections because India was not an independent country. But when the political class of India, it got a chance to form the government in different states, the politicians and other intellectuals, they got hands-on experience of governing a country. So this experience, it gave them the so-called relevant experience to govern a country. And probably that was the reason that when India finally got freedom, the transition of power was quite smooth and there was not much hiccup in that process. Then in 1946, in the month of July, elections for Constituent Assembly were held. These elections, the members of the Constituent Assembly, they were not directly elected by people, rather they were elected by the members of the Provincial Assembly. So it was an indirect election, but since the various provinces participated in these elections, so we can say that the Constituent Assembly, it got representation from every part of India, from every section of society. In 1947, when the country was divided, the Constituent Assembly, it was also divided, and there was a Constituent Assembly for Pakistan and another for India. The Indian Constituent Assembly, it had 299 members. The Constituent Assembly held its deliberations through various meetings, and thorough debates were conducted. Every detail was jotted down so that everything took place under transparent condition. and probably because of this region and probably because of the pan-India representation of the Constituent Assembly, the Constitution of India, it has withstood the test of time. And even today, we do not need to, fundamentally alter the Constitution. So everything more or less remains the same. On 26th November 1949, the Constitution was adopted and it came into effect on 26th January 1950. And to commemorate this day, we celebrate the Republic Day on 26th January every year. So this is all about the history of making of Constitution. Let us now move on to the philosophy of Constitution. The philosophy of Constitution is written in the Preamble of the Constitution, which is a long statement and gives a bird's eye view of the Constitution of India. The Preamble, it contains certain keywords, and these are: we, the people of India, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So let us try to understand the meaning of these keywords one by one. We, the people of India, this means that the Constitution of India, it was not imposed by an external force, rather it was made by the people of India, because the Constituent Assembly, it had members who were elected by the members of the provincial assemblies in those days. So the Constituent Assembly, it was having the pan-India representation. Sovereign, this means that India is a fully independent country and it is not under the authority of any other country. To understand this, we need to remember that when negotiations for the independence of the country were going on, India and Pakistan, they were given the option of dominion status of England. So the constitution makers and our nationalist leaders, they refused the offer of dominion status. So India is a free country, unlike Canada or Australia or New Zealand, which are under the monarchy of England. Socialist, the meaning of socialist in the Indian context is entirely different than what it was in the erstwhile communist nations. In India, the wealth creation can be done by individuals. Individuals can hold properties. The government, it owns certain industries and certain resources to ensure proper development of India and equitable distribution of the resources. So that is the meaning of socialist in our context. Secular means that no religion has got the status of official religion in India, and the government does not interfere in religious matters of the individual. The government only interferes when there is a threat to the social fabric or the threat to social calm. Democratic means the government in India will be elected democratically by the people. Republic means that the head of the state of India will be an elected person. He will not be an appointed person. So the president of India comes through election. He is not a nominated person. Justice means that every person is equal in the eyes of the law. Liberty means that the citizens of India, they get to enjoy certain fundamental rights. But while enjoying your liberty, enjoying your freedom, there are certain conditions. You cannot encroach upon the freedom or privacy of another individual. So that is the condition. Equality means that every citizen gets equal opportunity to improve his or her socio-economic status. So that is the meaning of equality. Now fraternity, the dictionary meaning of fraternity is brotherhood. This means that every citizen of India should live like the brothers or sisters. So there should be, everyone should try to maintain social harmony through their behavior. So to sum up, I talked about the definition of the Constitution that says that the collection of laws made to govern a country or an institution is called Constitution. Then I talked about the history of making of Constitution of India. And then I talked about the philosophy of Constitution of India, which is basically the preamble of Constitution. I tried to explain the meanings of various keywords in the preamble of the Constitution of India. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you.